Welcome to TALRadio. We are now going to listen to Mentor Loop, a career guidance from Roopa Sunku, Chief Evangelist at TAL Career Help. In this week's episode, you would be listening to a unique skill called elevator pitch. Career experts often describe elevator pitch as one of the key techniques to be successful. Here is such advice from an experienced mentor.
Hello, everybody. This is Roopa Sunku, Chief Evangelist at Touch a Life Foundation, heading up the Career Help or the mentoring track. I'm super excited to come back to you with what is an elevator pitch, how do you develop your elevator pitch, and how do you deliver your elevator pitch. So most people would think about elevator pitch as a predetermined marketing campaign of yourself. People don't like to promote themselves or look at it as a event to be able to promote your product or your organization. But the elevator pitch is truly and simply a definition of your personal statement. You have all understood the concept of brand and developing a brand for yourself through your career. Now, the elevator pitch is just an explanation of your personal accomplishments and your achievements, and to be able to captivate the audience with a dialogue, introducing yourself, and then making an ask of the relationship that you're going into. The terminology of the elevator pitch kind of came into being when and if you met some influential people in the elevator and you have a couple of floors to traverse. You have but 1 or 2 minutes maximum to be able to sell and tell people who you are and what you are. So this is primarily where the origin of the word or the terminology elevator pitch came into being. This elevator pitch can be used as cover letters. It could be used as your brand statement extension during your interviews. It could also be your introduction to new folks in a networking event, or it could be your brand statement in social media. It could also be the typical word explanation where you're meeting an executive on the elevator or on the walkways and are able to introduce yourself. So those would be the primary areas that you could use your elevator pitch at. To be able to write out your elevator pitch, you first need to make sure that you have built your personal brand statement. Once you have built your brand statement, write out your elevator pitch. And what does the elevator pitch include? What you do for work, what inspires you most about your work, what were your greatest achievements and accomplishments, what are your career goals, and what are you looking to achieve in the future, and any specialized skills you may benefit from sharing with your future employer or the person you're pitching to. So the next thing that you need to look at when you're writing out your elevator pitch is to be able to consider its value. Does this add value to the employer or the person you're talking to in a cover letter? Or is it some kind of a networking event where you want to talk about your transferable skills and the degrees that you've earned or the qualifications that you have or the specialty projects that you've been involved with? Or it could be just purely and simply special research work that you've done or your university experience or any kind of expertise within the field. You also want to seek input from others after you have written out your elevator pitch, adding in the values that you bring to the table. So connect with the people whom you work with. Go approach a mentor like that you may be able to pick from Touch a Life to be able to get that objective view and input on all of the skills that you have listed out or written out. It is also the objectivity to be well described and orated or speak it out. Often enough, you can just make a few word changes and be able to turn this from a cover letter to elevator pitch to an executive that you're meeting for the first time, or a networking event where you're meeting an absolute stranger for the very first time. It is just the usage of the brand statement populated with the achievements, accomplishments, and your ask in that particular scenario. So you could make it as friendly as talking to executive on the elevator saying, "Welcome to Touch a Life. I'm very excited to see you join us." And then go through and say, "I'm so and so. I have achieved all of this and I belong to this department." As you traverse the organization and learn our various teams, you can contact me for any additional details you want in the area that I'm working with. Could be a pitch that you're doing to executive. Or you could go over to the networking events and be able to walk up to any person and keep that neutralized, because you don't know them, they don't know you, but you want to leave an impression behind. So that would be the purpose of the elevator pitch. So introduce yourself distinctively and make sure that you share where you're working, what you're doing, what are your passions, and what would they benefit from interacting with you. So determine the motivation for yourself and the connection that you can make with the other folks that you're talking to. Always prioritize your content, right? As I started saying, you cannot make your elevator pitch longer than a minute or two at the most. Establish 2 to 3 points and then convey all of those in a very prioritized, highlighted fashion. And you can use active words to be able to show your passion around your achievements. Things like, "I'm skilled at helping bring history to life." I was inspired to teach history because Mrs. Moss in my graduate school had left a profound change in my life. But that's just an example. So make sure you go ahead and put all of these ideas together in your brand statement and practice it. Practice it in the different settings that I talked about. Make sure that you are comfortable with the words that you are speaking. It should flow seamlessly as an introduction, which is coming innately and not something that you had to rehearse, practice, and then share. So make sure that the people are able to connect with you and your elevator pitch. Always polish your pitch, refine the elevator pitch to make it iterative and requiring versions that make you comfortable that you've written it, you can say it, and you can also get yourself unstuck if you were to be able to deliver the pitch in a different setting. So obviously, I will share a couple of do's and don'ts for creating your personal elevator pitch. The do's would be make it very meaningful, short, crisp. Provide that passion inside you and look at some of the adjectives or adverbs that totally describe you and your potential and what your brand is. For example, in my elevator pitch or my personal brand statement, I would say I am very comfortable making the elevator pitch as an operational lead, being very gregarious and working with different organizations in a collaborative fashion. So I'm a thought leader and a collaborative leader who brings things to action. So use powerful words that actually describe you in a few sentences. Make it interesting. And there are people who take the approach of making the elevator pitch like a story. Paint a picture because you're meeting somebody for the first time. You want to leave an impression. Don't be very boxed in to your elevator pitch. Make sure you create an impression and leave some kind of inquisitiveness for the people to come back to you or be drawn to your pitch specifically. Also, when it is a future employer, you want to be very specific with your areas of expertise. So something that you would do as a cover letter may not be common to your elevator pitch at a networking event. Also stay authentic, even if it is simple things that make you connect to the receiver or the recipient of this message. Make that connection happen. I've had people who have come out of colleges or high school graduates who are making introductions through a networking event who'll say, my father got me involved in science. We did some backyard experiments on volcanoes, and it was super exciting. So now I'm trying to pursue geosciences to be able to work profession to save the environment and address global warming. These are all keywords that connects with you as an individual. So make that authentic and make it a very conversational tone. Also, if you are speaking through Zoom or some kind of a virtual media, make sure that you make that connection to the camera. Don't use too many hand gestures or movement of your face. Keep that focus and be able to deliver this message across in a very succinct fashion. Also use pitch modulation, tone modulation to be able to deliver that message of a connection that you want to make. So it's almost like a sales pitch, or think about it as a sales pitch of yourself, but it is not anything that you have not achieved or you have not experienced. So staying authentic, yet making it a sales pitch of yourself is what you would like to accomplish. So those would be some of the do's. And some of the don'ts would be, don't go into too much detail saying, I did my undergrad in this school, I did my postgrad in this school, I started pursuing a PhD but didn't finish it since I had my baby. All of that would be additional information that is not required, keeping in mind that it has to be a 1 minute, make it, and make sure that you've sealed the deal with your ask and your connection. So keep it to very much a very succinct 1 minute articulation of your areas of expertise. Use industry jargon only if it is understood across the board. Something like AI, big data is understood, but don't try to go ahead and explain ERP, for example, in the tech space or the application space. Try to keep all your information to somebody who may be novice to your area of expertise. Don't make it too long, as I mentioned. Try to keep it to a minute. Don't put too much focus on the number of years of experience. You can just use more descriptive words like, I've been in the industry for quite some time. Don't try to say 15 and a half years. And there are a lot of people who like to say 7.10 months. Would make it rather hard to understand or comprehend in that 1 minute. Don't use cliches like I talked about, thinking out of the box or state of the art, and overusing some of the marketing terminology, because you need to stay authentic and true to your skills and your expertise. Make sure that you get that personal element within your elevator pitch. So that is what I would say is the best sort of go forward steps on an elevator pitch. And I hope you found this information useful. And if you'd like to join Touch a Life and the mentoring programs as a mentor or a mentee, please join us at touchalife.org/career help and enroll to meet with us. And we'd love to help you with any of your career needs, be it resume writing, being able to do some mock interviews, or if you've had pivots in your career, or if you are a student entering and going into the land of colleges and are confused on what you would like to do, or writing up your personal statement or your essays for your college admissions. Definitely do touch base with us, and would love to help you. Thank you so much for listening, and hope you've been able to gather a few takeaways from this conversation, and looking forward to more and more of these conversations and meeting you online at Touch a Life. Thank you very much. And you can contact me at Roopa, ROOPA, at touchalife.org. Thank you so much. Take care.
Welcome back. You have just listened to the Need and Skill of Attaining Elevator Pitch by Roopa Sunku, Chief Evangelist at TAL Career Help. Stay tuned to TALRadio for many more interesting programs.